I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man. Do you understand? Half of my life is unplanned. Most of the time, I don't know what's
Welcome
next.
to this episode of Husband, Father, Man. I'm glad you could join me. Glad you could be in the house with me today. It is always a pleasure when people join in. Remember, my motto is I want you to come hungry so you will leave full. Come hungry so you can leave full, because I always want to make sure that you have something to look forward to and that you don't leave empty-handed. So for my regulars, I thank you for tuning in. And those of you who are new to the channel, Husband, Father, Man is all about helpful advice and tips on bettering your marriage, bettering you as a parent, and bettering you as a person. That is the good stuff, because we're all about going to the next level. And so through my experiences, I've learned a lot and, turned over a new leaf in different areas where, I start having new perspectives on things and growing to the next level. And so as I learn and move forward on this journey, I want to help others as well, because there are those who are ahead of me and they have given me food for thought and so much insight on things that can help me grow, as a parent within my marriage and as an individual. And so we always want to have that give back attitude. So let's just make sure that when we get it, we don't just hold on to it. We share it with others so everyone else can be successful too. That should be our mindset. And so with that being said, I'm going to move forward to our topic for today, which is 3 things that help you make better decisions. 3 things that help you make better decisions. And so when you look at decision making, I think sometimes we get caught up in situations where we think it's just, the luck of the draw, or, things just went bad. We have bad luck and just all these different things. Folks are against us and it just wasn't our time. Oh man, we come up with stuff, don't we? But at the end of the day, what I've learned over the years through my experience of making bad decisions was that there were a few things missing. And so after making so many bad decisions throughout life and putting myself in bad situations, I got to the point to where I started to just sit down and start thinking about what was going on. Why did that turn out that way? Could that have gone differently? And just kind of replayed what happened in my mind, replayed the decisions and things like that within my mind, step by step. And, I found like a detective or something. I was able to look back on some of those things and be like, oh, now right there, I should have gone in this direction, or right there, that was a red light to say, hey, what about this? And, I just learned from it. And so the old saying goes that if we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat them again. And sometimes we just go through those things and make bad decisions and blame everybody else and all other things, instead of saying, maybe I just didn't move forward in the right direction making these decisions. And so the first one on the list of things that will help you make better decisions is having set standards. That's number 1, having set standards. See, when you have set standards, then you know where you stand on issues, or you know where you stand within different situations. And so you know what you're for on certain topics, you know what you're against on certain topics or certain situations. And so when it comes to making a decision on certain things, if you have if you have set standards, then your standards will already say whether or not you are in or out. And so, you just look at different situations to where you might be trying to make a decision on, whether something as simple as whether or not you're going to uh, go out tonight or something like that. It may be those who are with you, and you have a certain standard where you say, hey, when I go out, I don't want to be caught up in any drama. And I think all of us have that friend who, whenever you go somewhere with them, they're always getting into fights and arguments and all of that. And so, just based off that standard, you will say, I'm only going out with my friends who I know are peaceful and laid back, and they're thinking the same way I'm thinking. We just want to go out, have a good time, and then come back home and go to bed. But you have some people who you hang out with where that's not their mindset. It's like, let's go out, and if something happens, then we gonna have to handle that. And you're like, so if you have that standard in place already, then your decision is easy to make. It's easy to make. And also, if you go against your standard, then you can look back on that later. If something happens when you go out with that friend, and you'll be saying to yourself, see, I knew that I shouldn't have went out with them. I had already said it, but I went against my better judgment. I went against the fact that I said that this is not who I'm going out with. And then it can be something as simple as what you eat. People who eat healthy, they have a set standard where they may say, hey, I don't eat any fried food. So if someone comes up and say, hey, you want a piece of fried chicken? It's not something that they have to think about and say, oh, should I eat that chicken? And, whether they want to or not, they have that set standard to where they're like, hey, I don't eat fried foods because I know greasy foods that adds to the pounds, that gives me high cholesterol and all these things. And so based off of my set standards on why I don't eat fried foods, then I'm not going to eat it. And it's quick and to the point. But once again, if you sit up and you go against that, then when you eat those fried foods and you gain weight and your cholesterol goes up, you say, see, I shouldn't have gone against my standards. So you need to have set standards, and you need to stick to those set standards. And so number 2 on the list. Number 2 is you need to think about the pros and cons. You need to think about the pros and cons. A lot of times when we are making decisions, a lot of times we're making them off of our feelings on what we want to do. We can tell ourselves, oh, I need that new car, and I need that new suit or that new TV and that new person, all of these different things. We sit up and tell ourselves those things. And so we'll find ourselves going above and beyond, moving things around to get situated for those things. But it's really not, sometimes we'll end up after the fact with buyer's remorse because we put ourselves in a situation because we spent money we didn't have, or we used bill money and now we're further behind on something. But if you think about the pros and cons, then you can work your way through it. Because sometimes there may be something that you want, and it may be just a matter of waiting. So you might sit up and say, okay, what's the pros and cons of this? So I've had this situation before with buying video equipment or audio equipment for my recording and, my recordings. And so sometimes I've just been like, oh, I just want to buy that now. And then it's like, okay, what are the pros? The pros of this is that this is a better camera. It does more things. It'll help me make better videos. It's small and compact to where I can take it on the road and it not take up much space, and just different things like that. What may be some of the cons? Well, a con may be that, it's a little pricey. It's a little pricey, and if I get it right now, I'm going to kind of put myself in a bad situation financially. So I might want to just wait a little longer to get it. I want it now, but I may just sit up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to set aside something out of, my next 2 or 3 checks, and then I'll go ahead and get it. Because if I do that, then I'm not putting myself in a bind. I'm just having delayed gratification on getting my camera. And so when I sit up and think through things like that, then I'm able to make that decision to have delayed gratification and get the camera later on by setting aside money to get it instead of putting myself in a bind. And so I find myself in different situations like that a lot of time, to where, I have to make those, weigh the pros and cons and different things in the situations, and sometimes it may be something simple as, I find myself in a situation a lot of times where I'm trying to do a lot of things, trying to fit a lot of things into one day. I may be trying to film some videos and go play basketball with my kids and watch a movie with my wife and things like that. And I'm like, hey, I can do it. I can fit it all into one day. But let's weigh the pros and cons of this. So, the pros are, these are all positive situations. It's a beautiful thing to spend time with my children, beautiful thing to spend time with my wife. And it's always a beautiful thing to put my videos together, to share with others, and, share helpful insights and advice and things like that. But when I try to fit all that into one day, now I'm going to be rushing and trying to go from one thing to the next, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm able to get these things done before it gets late and things like that. When, so if I'm trying to do, let's just say I'm trying to do all of this on a Friday night. Okay. If I don't have anything going on Saturday, why don't I just wait till Saturday to take care of some of these things? Because I've been at work all day. And so now once I get home in the evening, now I have to try to take care of all these different things. But I can sit up and say, hey, I can take the kids up there and play some basketball with them, and work on the video tomorrow, and possibly watch the movie with my wife tonight. Or I can sit up and say, hey, I'm going to watch the movie with my wife tonight, and then do my video early on, and then go play some basketball with the kids tomorrow afternoon. And so by taking the time to weigh the pros and cons, it allows me to think it through and be able to spread that out. It's something I want to do, but I didn't necessarily need to do all of that in one day. And so when you weigh the pros and cons of the situation, you are able to just kind of think it through and see, the best way to approach the situation. So the last one on the list is number 3 is this the best route to go? Is this the best route to go? So once you've set up, and it may be something that fits within your standards, it may be something that you have weighed the pros and cons on, and you have come up with a situation to where you're like, okay, this is doable. I think I want to move forward. So now you have to ask yourself, is this the best route to go? I have been in those different situations to where I wanted to move on something. I was anxious. It was like, sometimes we want to move on things. We want to move on things before we have a chance to talk ourselves out of it. I don't know about you, but I find myself in those situations a lot. And there have been times to where my wife has come along and she's been the voice of reason, and she'll say, "Hey, what about these few things here, whatever? I know it seems good, but that might not be the best route to go." And so then, begrudgingly, most of the time, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, she just hating on me. And so, but I still will go off to the side by myself and think about what she has said, and see, does she have a valid point? And sometimes I'll just think about it and be like, you know what? That's not the best route to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit that to the side, and I'm going to give it a little more time. So I'm going to give it a little more time for me to really think about it and see what a better route might be, or see, as I said, a better way to approach it or whatever. But it's not, like I said, it might not be the best route to go, because sometimes we may find ourselves in situations where something needs to be done, a decision needs to be made, but the route you go to take care of it is very important. Because I find myself a lot of times within situations where you have to have those tough conversations with someone. And I know we've been in those situations before. And sometimes we don't want to have those tough conversations. But my mindset always is, I know that if I don't have that tough conversation, then the flip side, or the alternative to that, is it's going to get worse. And so I'm the type of person to where I put all my time and effort into trying to figure out the best way to approach it, the best route to go. And over the years, sometimes, no matter how you approach it, you can be as nice and friendly with how you present it. People are going to get mad sometimes. They're going to get caught up in their feelings. But for me, as long as I know that I put my best foot forward in going that route, then I feel peace of mind within it. It's not something that that I regret, or I come back and beat myself up over, because I spend a lot of time on that front end trying to figure out the best, the safest route, the most productive route to go. And so when you have all those things in place, and you're putting forth all your time and effort into your decision making, then at the end of it, you will be able to walk away with knowing that you made good, wholesome, focused decisions. And so I hope this video was helpful. I hope it's something that you can take and use, and when it comes to your decision making, to help you get to a better place, and just get a routine going with how you approach your decision making, and that you are able to just move forward with the same system each time, and be rest assured that you are making sound decisions. So remember, number one, you have to have your set standards. Do not stray away from your standards. Take the time to write down the pros and cons, and see, how many things you have positive versus negative of what you're putting into this decision, to see, to see what's going on with this decision to begin with, and helping yourself map out the direction to go in. And number three, ask yourself at the end of it, is that the best route to go? Make sure that you have looked at it frontwards and backwards, and said to yourself, I want to make sure I'm on the safest path. I want to make sure that I'm on the path that is most productive. I want to make sure I'm on the path that doesn't cause any confusion, or any situations that will make the situation worse. And when you do all those things, you'll be able to be at peace with your decision making, and you will be able to make those decisions with ease, with a clear mindset, and just be able to make those decisions in the clutch and things like that. And that's what you want. You want good, sound decisions being made. So that's all I have for this episode for Husband, Father, Man. Hope that gave you food for thought. So I will see you on the next episode. You have a great day.
Phone call or maybe a text saying, could you pick the kids up from soccer? Grab some cake mix, and you know I only use Betty Crocker. Also grab some milk and some eggs, some sugar and some bread. And